Hi, I'm Jenny from Jenny Gleeson Coaching and Consulting. I'm going to take you through my most favourite workshops to run ever, called Personality Dimensions. I've been running these workshops for over 10 years now and the feedback is always really positive. I have so many clients coming back and getting me to run more of them because I get new staff on board or their staff have just really loved it. I still have people coming up to me years later just saying that really helped me understand the staff that I work with and make improvements in my work habits. It's just an amazing workshop and I can't fake this because I love it so much. So I'm going to run you through how a Personality Dimensions building blocks, which is the initial workshop, works. Okay, so everyone gets a participant pack and as you can see it's been translated into various languages because it's that popular around the world. We just need to boost it here in Australia because it's amazing. So everyone gets a Scoring My Personality Dimensions scorecard. So all the activities we do today go onto this. I have some people that have come back to workshops 5 years later and they've still got this, which is saying something. There is an introversion and extroversion sheet. This is an activity around whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. It's not a massive part of Personality Dimensions, but it's great for the team building exercise that we do in the workshop. We have a form that's called Traits and Characteristics, and this is like a scorecard as well. And you go through and you have a look at which category you prefer. So there's green, gold, blue and orange, which I'll go through with you. And finally, the all-important document or little brochure that people have on their desks and you can keep it somewhere really close by is an outline of each of the colours. So if someone in your team is acting a bit out of sorts and not usual, you can go to their colour and go, ooh, what's happening for them, and then try and look at ways that might help them get back on track again. So this is like a little Personality Dimensions Bible, I guess you could call it. So at the beginning of the workshop, we do a icebreaker. Now people usually roll their eyes and go, ugh, to icebreakers, but the icebreaker is heaps of fun. In actual fact, it tends to go longer than I expect it to because people really get into it. I'm not going to tell you what it is though, because I want you to come along and do it. And then I go through the history of personality types. I keep it fairly short because we don't want people to get bored. Some people love it, and I've got lots of literature for them if they're really into the history of where this came from, or we can just skip through and I just give you a quick brief overview. Then we start the activities, which is really cool. Personality Dimensions contains 4 colours. So at the end of the day, we predominantly function out of one of those colours, but we are actually a combination of all of them. I guess you've got the most preferred through to least preferred. The first activity is looking at a series of collages that represent each colour. So we have Organised Gold, Resourceful Orange, Authentic Blue, Inquiring Green. So that's the first activity that we do. So as a team, we go through these cards and we have a bit of a brainstorm about what each colour might represent based on the images. Now you might see an image and go, oh, I don't really like that collage, but at the end of the day you might actually end up being this card. So these are just a representation, just to get your mind thinking in different colours and representations of images. So that's the first activity. So once we've done the picture cards, as participants you put them in order of most preferred through to least preferred. So if you particularly liked the orange one and you think, yeah, that's the most like me, I can really see myself in that picture, you would put that first. And then say you came to the green one and thought, oh, that's not really me, you would put that in the end. So you put them in number. So 4 is your favourite, 3 is the next one like you, 2 is sort of like you, and 1 is not really like you at all. Then the next set of cards we look at are called Life Values. So same deal, you get 1 of each colour. But this time we actually read a little bit about the life values of each of the colours. So these are each of the ones. So what I suggest people do is fan them out in front of them and read each one in its entirety, and then think about it, and then put them in order again, of the most like you through to the least like you. And then flip them over and go, oh, okay, that's a green one. I wasn't expecting that. Or maybe you were expecting that. Oh, that's blue. And then you put them on your scorecard in number preference. Just like the life values ones, there is a series of cards called At Work. So these cards are the same idea. We have a read of each of the statements on each of the cards. And then you do the same thing, put them in order of preference. Now, the At Work cards is what you are like in a work situation. I know at work that I'm quite different to how I am maybe at home. So I know at work I like to be more organised, I like to be more structured, I like to have everything neat and tidy, as you probably can see from my office. Whereas other people might be like that in their real life, but at work they might be messy, or vice versa. So this is what you're like in a work context. And once you've decided your order of preference, you put them on your score sheet, just like the life values and the picture cards. The next series of cards we look at, similar in the way that it's structured, but these ones are in relationships. So this isn't to do with your work colleagues or your work life. This is to do with what you're like in your intimate relationships with others. So with your partner, with your children, your family, whoever it is. So it's the way you behave in relationships. Sometimes this one might stump people because they might read it and go, oh, I don't want to be like that, but they really are like that. So you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself with all of them, but definitely with this one. This set of cards is in communication. So this is how you communicate with people. Now, again, you have to be super honest with yourself, because you might want to communicate in a certain way and think you come across a certain way, but in fact you do not. So you have to be really honest with yourself when you read these ones. Again, you put them in order of most like you through to least like you, and you put them on your scorecard. The final set of cards that we read is in conflict. Again, you have to be honest with yourself. So you might think that you would like to be a certain way in conflict, but in actual fact you are not as maybe nice as you thought you were, or maybe you are nicer than you thought you were and need to toughen up a little bit. So the in conflict cards, they can be quite confronting too. Now when you're doing this is about you, not what you think people think of you, or not what people tell you. This is about what's coming from you and what you know to be true. The final activity that you do is called Traits and Characteristics Choices. So this is one where you go through and you read a series of statements, and then you circle most like you through to least like you again. So for example, there's a question here that says you respect authority, intellect, performance, or relationships. So you put those in order. At the end of the workshop, this is entirely filled out by you. So every activity that we've done goes onto the scorecard. So you go through them all, then you add each of the colours up, and the final score gives you which colour you are. And then you go, ooh, I wonder if I can find out more about me. And you go to your Personality Dimensions little brochure Bible that I called it before, and you read about you. So once you've worked out and got your head wrapped around which colour you are, and don't forget, we are a blend of all the colours. We just will always come back to one way of functioning, our preferred way of functioning. So for example, if you're an orange, if you're in a crisis or feeling under the pump or feeling a bit out of sorts, you will always revert back to how an orange person reacts and performs in that particular circumstance. So once you've had a look through and you've got your head around it and you go, yeah, God, that's so me, which is what I hear from everybody, you get into the colour groups and you sit down and you go, oh, these are so my people. and you can understand why you like to work with those people because they're actually very similar to you. So when you're in your little colour groups and you're chatting about what it's like to be green, blue, orange or gold, I get you to do a little activity because then you'll tell everybody else in the room what it's like to be your colour. You want everyone in your team to know about your colour and how to get the best out of you. That's what makes a team perform well. So what I've done is over the years, I've collected a whole group of activities from other workshops that I've run. So you've got an idea of what sort of things that your team members might like to know about you. My absolute favourite is this particular one, which is called the thinking hat. So a group of greens created this many years ago and I've kept it because it's my favourite. And they've got things on the back which represent them. Because when they presented, they actually put it on their head like that. And then they explained what it meant to be green. So once everyone's had an opportunity to explain what it's like to be green, blue, gold or orange, everyone else in the team has the opportunity to ask questions. And then we have a look at, well, okay, where does conflict arise? There can be tension between different colours, opposite colours. So we go through that and we brainstorm some suggestions around how to get the best out of people when we're feeling a bit compromised or in conflict. That's the end of the first workshop though. There's so much more, but that's enough for people for one day because a lot of the time people have never heard of personality profiling or behavioural tools, and it's a lot for them to get their head around. So we leave it there for the first workshop. I'm Jenny from Jenny Gleeson Coaching and Consulting. That in a nutshell is what the Personality Dimensions Building Blocks workshop is all about. It goes for about 3 to 4 hours. It's great for your team, it gets people thinking. If you'd like to know more, you can sign up for my mailing list or you can click on the link below.